Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60. Hello, friends, new and old, and welcome back to another episode of Soccer in 60. Now, despite the fact that it was a President's Day Monday, this shortened week sure seems like it's been going on forever. Rough week it's been for yours truly. Some days you're the bug, others you're the windshield. But for today on this reprieve, I called myself the windshield wiper, and I'll start with a clean slate. And you know what's about to start with a clean slate? MLS, baby. Next week, in fact, but more on that later. My name is Christian Philemon, better known by my Slim Shady alter ego, Philly. And joining me, the madman from Michigan, Timmy K. Kolotz. What's up, my guy?
I'm feeling tremendous today, Philly. How are you, man?
I'm good, bud. Long week, but it was great because I got to see you during the Strykers game against Baltimore. Always a great time when you're in the building, and it's always great to see you, man. Love just turning back around while at halftime, and boom, there's Timmy K in the booth.
Yeah, that was great, man. I'm glad you let me and you let one of your buddies in. We got to hang out, and it was a good time, man.
Well, truthfully, security was on break. That's probably why they were able to let you in. I paid the guy and told him, don't let this dude, this picture, I showed him a picture. You don't let this man in.
Don't let him in. Hey, you know what? As the OC,
stay away. I'm just kidding.
Hey, as the OC homer of the show, man, I'm especially excited for today's show with Coach Danny Stone coming on here in a little bit, man. I'm stoked. And I know you've got a great moniker for what you're going to talk about with Brian Orozco, but I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and say that it was a golden goalie golazo.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm excited to pay some bills. Who isn't excited to do that? Podcast sponsoring time. Heading to the game. Hop aboard Omnitrans for a seamless journey to Toyota Arena. Simply download the Transit app to catch your bus and enjoy a stress-free trip to cheer on the Strykers. Bills paid. Feeling good, feeling glorious. And with that being the case, Tim, it's time to rap a little bit about LAFC. Now, CONCACAF Champions Cup kicked off, and LAFC went to the Centennial State, Colorado, for those who don't know, to take on the Rapids in Commerce City. And Tim, I know you're from Michigan. There's nothing like some outdoor footy in Colorado in early February. Am I right? I mean, there's only sub-freezing temperatures. No big deal.
No big deal. I mean, come on. The Colorado guys were probably like, hey, let's wear our shorts and not wear undershirts. They probably didn't care lick one about the freezing temperatures.
Oh, I'm sure some of them did. I mean, we saw players wearing gloves. All but Sergi Palencia, by the way, on LAFC. And that dude's from Spain. Olivier Giroud looked like he aged, but it wasn't the case. I mean, his beard subbed off because it was complaining for frostbite. I mean, what miserable conditions to do anything other than ski, play hockey, and or drink.
Seriously, I mean, just watching the game and seeing just the amount of snow that was on the pitch beforehand, and it felt like the players had to go out and shovel the seats to get the fans to come in and sit down and hang out with them.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, they say it wasn't a Buffalo Bills-esque kind of a scenario, but look, when they bring out the Orange Bowl, I mean, you know you're up for some crazy conditions. But then how else are you going to watch a game of soccer in a snow globe, I guess you could say. But anyway, not a really riveting first half in that game for either side. Less so for the team that's accustomed to these conditions, Colorado. But second half is where we really got to see some of the action. 3 goals between the two sides, and sadly, only one of those we go to LAFC. Kevin Cabral draws a foul, and Ryan Hollingshead sets up Georgi Mihailovic for his first to 2. 80th minute, off of a free kick, buries another one past a frosty Hugo Lloris. And I got to tell you, at least for the attacking players on the pitch, I imagine it was slightly more bearable dealing in those sub-freezing temperatures. Could you imagine being Zach Steffen or Hugo Lloris in those conditions where you're kind of just standing around trying to gain some motion and some warmth to your body? Being a goalkeeper under those conditions must have been absolutely the most miserable on the pitch.
Yeah, it must have been just terrible. just when you're sitting around. I played goalkeeper for one season when I was a little kid, and it was, it was fall weather and you got cold when it was 60 degrees. I couldn't imagine in sub-freezing, sub-zero temperatures that you're just standing there sitting around waiting for some action and just freezing your baguettes off. I mean, that wouldn't be any fun at all.
No, definitely not at all. And the game wasn't really fun for LAFC, but luckily the man from UC Riverside wearing the captain's armband, Aaron Long, would come through, and look, LAFC pulls one back. Now, that's how the game would end, 2-1. Not going to judge the team based on that performance. The conditions were awful, and to be honest, it was as good as it can be. I mean, Miami had to move their game, but not like they did play in under any better conditions. I think it was 6 degrees in their game against Sporting Kansas City. But I don't know. The rumor is, though, Tim, and I heard this, I can't verify it, but that both teams were given the option to push it back or go another day. And both teams opted to press forward with playing the game, despite how miserable it was on game day.
Yeah, I think in this particular situation that you kind of have to play that game, because whether it's a 24 hours later, the weather wasn't going to get any better. And when you're starting to push up against the regular season, do you really want to have one less day of rest, especially because it's going to take you 2 days to thaw out from that place? And so to get into the regular season with that extra full day of rest, I think that was a better option for those guys.
Yeah, for sure. Now, all right, LAFC loses 2-1, but I will tell you, I think they played the better game. It's not like the Rapids really created many chances. I mean, their goals came from a penalty kick, which Kevin Cabral earned, no question about it, and then that free kick. And Georgi Mihailovic absolutely melted LAFC with his brace. That's about it. Nothing outstanding. Don't get me wrong, but there was nothing lethal as far as the attack was concerned. LAFC had a better passing accuracy, and I'll tell you, in BMO with more than ideal conditions, this should be a better match and a better performance from both sides. I'm sure somebody listening in some city that's cold or some country that's cold is thinking to themselves, Philly's a sissy. What's wrong with a little cold? And my answer to you is everything. Everything. Nothing makes me more miserable than being cold. Only time I want to be cold is when I lay in bed and get ready to fall asleep. That's it. Snow? Forget it. It's the dandruff of the gods. No me gusta. And to quote the great Frank Zappa, by the way, never eat the yellow snow.
That is something that is very, very true, Philly. And growing up in Michigan, you do not eat the yellow snow. You run away from it and you run and hide. But there's a reason why we live here in Southern California. We have a lot of weather tax in this town, and I gladly pay it. I'd much rather be too hot than too cold, because I've been too cold. It sucks. It's not very fun. But being too hot, you can kind of get around. But with the upcoming game, leg 2, I think the field, the weather, the intensity is going to be that much higher. And with Aaron Long getting that last one right at the very end in the 87th minute, it makes this a lot better game for leg 2.
No, I completely agree. I mean, that was a huge goal. Not getting Aaron Long's goal, a problem. But LAFC, despite the fact that they're going to be hosting the Rapids on the 25th, that's not the next game that they play. They've got a home opener against Minnesota United, the Loons. And a lot of pundits are out there saying that LAFC is going to be a top performing team, as they always are. But Minnesota United has the kind of squad that can easily finish in the top 5. So their home opener is going to be against a very solid and very talented team. Not going to be an easy road for LAFC. And you see how closely these two games are with one another. Now I totally get why they opted not to postpone the game, because now we're already talking load management at the start of the season. And, it's just wild to think that we got so many games all one after the other. But yeah, it's the 22nd against Minnesota United. That'll be a good game. February 25th, round 2, leg 2 against Colorado Rapids. And it's important to note that this is a thing based on aggregate. And obviously scoring the away goal was clutch for us, because I easily see LAFC winning 3-0 at home against this Rapids team. Am I being overly ambitious? No. I firmly believe that they can play like that in the conditions that they have at home, which is better weather and a better pitch. And I got to give a shout out to the groundskeeper, Cage Knudsen at LAFC. that pitch is looking marvelous. And it also helps that there haven't been many concerts playing at BMO prior to the start of the season.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the big thing, is that pitch at BMO is going to be much, much better. And even with the home opener with the Loons a few days beforehand, it doesn't matter. The ability for LAFC to go out there and play really, really well at home, I'm with you there. I see a 2-0, 3-0 score line again in that home opener in favor of LAFC as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep an eye out on players like Michael Boxall as a defender. They bring back Hlung Wane, who's an outstanding talent. Robin Lod, the Finnish sensation. He's a player to watch, but no more Teemu Pukki. I love Teemu Pukki. The Norwich City legend will not be there because he's no longer with the team. But, they also have a really talented keeper in that Dane St. Clair, who plays for the Canadian national team. So, I mean, looking up and down this roster, I mean, I do think that this is a team that could really go out swinging and finish top 4, top 5, I'd say at the worst in Major League Soccer. So it'll be a really good test and a really good challenge for LAFC. And speaking of challenges, did you hear KTLA News reported earlier today that $500,000 in jewelry was allegedly stolen from Olivier Giroud's home? Isn't that wild? Not even Olivier Giroud is safe from theft.
Yeah, I saw that as well, and I was just blown away. And it's just unfortunate, but it's tragic what's happening. The fires. You've got guys breaking into people's houses when they're at the game. It's just miserable. I just don't like it. And, hopefully they catch the guys and they put them away for a while.
Yeah, in this town, I'm sure they got away. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That wraps up LAFC. Let's talk about your LA Galaxy, Tim.
Yeah, let's bring it over to the Galaxies. The guys down south a little bit. They rounded out their Coachella Valley Invitational. They had their final game the other day, which was a win, 1-0 win against the Chicago Fire. Now, we take these preseason games for what they are. They're fan-friendly, especially at Coachella Valley. You got fans right there on the grass, so everybody's watching. You get to see these guys up close and just see how big and fast these guys really are. Or in some cases, man, they're only like $150 and 5'7". Man, I could take them. Yeah, no, you can't. They're way faster, and they're going to knock you out, man. But the big takeaways that I saw is that lots of different guys are getting playing time. We had JT Marcinkowski on a couple of weeks ago, and he got a bunch of playing time. Guys like Zanka and Christian Ramirez got in against the Chicago Fire. And one of the other things I really like, and I know they're never going to do it, they have increased the subs. But in a couple of these games, the Galaxy used as many as 10 different subs in the game. Just so making sure that everybody's getting play on the pitch and that they're really getting into game shape, because when you're just playing against your guys and you're playing kickball on the pitch at the training facility, you're just not in that game shape. But when you can get in and get 15, 20, 25 minutes in the second half of a game, it means something. And these guys getting into game shape and just playing with like Ramirez, or Zanka coming in, just getting very familiar with the guys. So this has been good stuff, Billy. I really like what they're doing so far in the preseason and getting ready for the home opener against San Diego FC, buddy.
They're hosting the 30th MLS club in the 30th year of Major League Soccer for their home opener. Like, I can't believe it's on here already, honestly. San Diego FC, that is. It feels like just yesterday they were announced. I mean, since LAFC, and yes, I know there was a time in this league before LAFC, but for the purposes of the show, we'll talk 2018 and on. Look at how many new teams came into existence. Charlotte, St. Louis, Cincinnati, Nashville, Miami, Austin, San Diego. Just unbelievable. 7 new teams since 2018? Incredible. And more importantly, all of them have some really amazing numbers. But I have no clue what to expect from this San Diego FC team. Chucky Lozano, their talisman, he's a talent. That goes without saying. They bring in Luca Della Torre, who trained, by the way, with former Strykers head coach Paul Wright. Anders Dreyer, the club's second DP out of Anderlecht in Belgium. Another person keep an eye on. Andres Reyes, a player finally with some Major League Soccer experience, about 100 caps, but who knows? I'm confident when I say SDFC is going to get a very rude awakening when they head to Carson. I think we all believe that. I think most of the pundits are predicting San Diego to finish last place or close to last. But, same was said about St. Louis, and they proved a lot of people wrong. But I don't see this smorgasbord of San Diego FC players. I don't see how they're going to put a dent in their record. And I certainly don't think they're winning on the road the night the defending champions get their rings, their flag, their banners, the crown, the accolades. There's just no way San Diego is going to beat the Galaxy on their home opener. Forget about it. No way.
Yeah, forget about it. Yeah, and they've got a kid named Alex Mighton that came over from English Premier League, Nottingham Forest. He's only 22. I'm with you there, though. The Galaxy are going to take San Diego, and they're going to show them what the MLS is about, and they're going to work them over pretty good.
Real quick, Galaxy exercised a contract buyout on midfielder Sean Davis. The move, as per Tom Bogert, moved strictly due to cap restraints. LA Galaxy, required Davis from Nashville earlier this offseason. So crazy that that's the case. Tim, are you back, buddy?
I am back, Philly. Sorry about that. Just like Joseph Paint still, working on his quad. He's got a little bit of injury. My high-speed internet is apparently not so high speed tonight.
No, it's got a lower body extremity, clearly.
Exactly. Hopefully we can put some ice on that and get that thing taken care of. But
no, you don't want to put any ice on that internet connection. No, then you're going to see that whole thing load up a little more. Might get a little brighter in Casa de Colats if you do that. One thing I do have to say about the Galaxy, their kits are absolute fire this season. I want to acknowledge that. Well done on the creative team. Although the Galaxy's not my club, I do like the design. You Laker Galaxy fans are going to love this kit. Maybe not the price on the Authentics, because Major League Soccer and Adidas are out of their minds with the absurd cost of kits. Let's go back to the $130 on the Authentics, please, if you don't mind. Tim, Galaxy, what you got?
All right, so with that bringing us out, I think the biggest thing that the midfield of LA Galaxy is going to need to do is get guys like Marco Reus to really step up. A lot of goals to catch up for with guys like Joveljic out, and he's gone, and they got to fill 20 goals pretty quickly. So Lucas Sanabria is going to have to step up. Sean Davis, Diego Fagundes, all these guys are going to have to fill in for Pooch and feed these new wingers that they're getting up on the forward lines, and they're going to have to fill the net somehow. I think they're going to do it, but I think it's just going to take some time for the team to gel a bit.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but they do have great kits, so let's put it that way.
They do have a great kit, and I like that one.
Yeah, that's one that you should acquire. You got a great kit on yourself, but we'll flash that one when we have our guest on. All right. That brings us to National Core, ladies and gentlemen. Soccer in 60 is brought to you by National Core. I'm excited. One of the nation's largest not-for-profit affordable housing developers and proud sponsor of your MASL team, the Empire Strykers. At National Core, they believe that soccer has the power to transform lives just like they do. They believe in building strong communities on and off the field. To learn more about National Core and their mission, go to nationalcore.org. And speaking of National Core, their favorite team in this area would have to be the Empire Strykers. Empire Strykers. What a win, Tim. Biggest win of the season and the team's first win against one of the top 3 clubs in the league this year. Give you, hey, oh my God. We lose to Tim and we gain a Nina. Nina, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well, Philly. I'm actually excited to be subbing in for this Empire Strikers one because I'm there. It's a fun time. And we had an awesome game, like nail biter, if you will. But you want to dive into this one?
I do. I'm going to be amazed to hear what you're going to talk about, because for those that don't know, Nina's in charge of game day operations. So the one thing I know she's not paying attention on is the actual gameplay. But here you are. I love it. This is good stuff.
One thing I did watch, though, was Tyndall's new awesome intro video. So I was able to catch that, and I am excited for that. But, after the walkout, I'm pretty much just playing the games, the hat trick, the trivia, all the fun little in-game elements.
Oh, yeah. No, the intro video was certainly great. And look, this was a nerve-wracking game. Baltimore Blast. They had a 9-game winning streak at one point. One of the hottest teams in the league until their loss to Utica City FC before the All-Star game. And speaking of which, Blast sent 4 players to the All-Star game. And I mean, we can mention that as we go through, but now they're on a 2-game losing streak, courtesy of the Empire Strykers. And well, the Empire Strykers snapped their 2-game losing streak their own selves. Now they've got 7 wins on the season. I'm thoroughly and utterly happy and impressed with the way that they've competed throughout the year, for that matter.
Yeah, it did make me nervous going into this because the Empire Strikers are at the point where they need to win. They need to win at home. They need to win on the road in order to make that playoff cut. And right now, you know, every point counts. We're in the final few matches of the season. And when we look at how Baltimore had been doing, it makes me nervous. And, you know, we're not going to talk about Milwaukee yet. But if Baltimore was tough the way it was, Milwaukee might be even harder. So, you know, the boys are first going to be on the road, you know, right now, basically. They're warming up as we talk for that game at Texas. But Baltimore, Orozco.
Yeah.
Like the name.
Oh my God. But even before that, look, I mean, Harold Hansen scoring again. I think he scored his 5th goal of the season. And that was the only thing we saw in the first half. But then, yeah, second half was awesome. Before we get to the Brian Orozco goal, look, Leonardo Espinosa, the new signing from Chile, scoring in his 2nd straight game. Amazing. Former Empire Strikers player Jesus Pacheco sent the game into overtime. And to your point, 153 seconds into that overtime period, we saw Brian Orozco with the game winner. I'm about to pull this old Star Wars-esque jersey. Brian Orozco signed, baby. What a great goal. I blew out my larynx on that call. And it was just an amazing game, an amazing win for the Empire Strikers. And what really impressed me the most is how they limited Baltimore to just 10 shots over the course of the entire game. They had 2 quarters, Nina, where they only had 1 shot, the first and the 4th. Didn't start the game well, did not end the game well either.
So at halftime, I looked at Seth Burham and I said, is this the lowest scoring game in MASL history so far? Because I believe it was 1-0 at the half.
Yep, correct. Courtesy of Harold Hansen.
So is it? Because that seems like a really low indoor score to me.
Yeah, but I mean, if you take a look at the shots versus Empire had 25, and they got the game winner from their goalkeeper, which they've utilized as a 6th attacker all throughout the season. And that was Orozco's 2nd goal of the season. We've got 3 goals over Empire's entire allotment from the keepers. We had Brandon Gomez, who scored 1. We had Brian Orozco with 2. That just leaves Clayson DeLima on deck. Clayson, you're up, bud. You got to score a goal to complete the trifecta.
Oh my gosh, let's go, Clayson. Make sure you get that one in.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That would be fun.
Yeah, so Baltimore loses, which was wild. I still can't believe it. I mean, one of the most legendary indoor teams, not named San Diego. I mean, throughout their history, and we're talking 10 indoor titles, the Blast. And in this modern-day MASL era, they had a 3-peat. I mean, this is a very talented team that brought in some really good players, Chad Porch, Bruno Enrique, and of course you got Juan Pereira, who's been there forever. Guys just established his 200th career point. I mean, a very good team. So for the Empire Strikers faithful out there, huge win. And other than an assist, they, for the most part, did this without Marco Fabian or Justin Stinson, which goes to show you how deep this squad really is.
Yeah, I want to look ahead, though, now. I want to go to the last, what is this, going to be like 8 games of the season, of which only 3 are at home. But you're seeing the boys having to face San Diego 3 times in that span. And not only that, you know, we've got Milwaukee, like I said. We've got 2 against Texas, which hopefully we can pick up some good points on. But, man, some of those games are going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, look, can't sleep on the Outlaws. I mean, Eddie Puskarich, their head coach, legend in this league. I mean, legend in the state of Texas, playing at FC Dallas, the whole kit and caboodle. Although I don't believe they're called FC
Dallas. 2 wins
Dallas
on the season. They're currently in last place.
Yeah, but they've been look, this is a team that lost all their best players. I mean, they kept David Ortiz. They sent their 2 best in that of Mendez and Morales to San Diego. I mean, the team was gutted. So they gave us a nice run for their money down in their neck of the woods, but they not only beat the Sidekicks, they beat Milwaukee on the road. Milwaukee on the road is not easy. UWM Panther Arena, a very tough place, a ruckus environment. The Outlaws pulled one off. So I don't want to call this a trap game, but it's not going to be a walk in the park either.
All right. And with that, so now we've talked about Texas. Coming up right after that is Milwaukee. And it makes me nervous. They're currently sitting in 5th place.
Milwaukee on a Monday. And despite the fact that, look, Milwaukee is the oldest consistently run indoor franchise, having started off in the early 80s. And this is only the 3rd time that the Strykers will have faced Milwaukee in their history. The last time these two teams met was back on March in 2020, right before the season ended. A game in which the Empire, or back as they were called then, the Ontario Fury, put the shebang bang on the Wave by a score of 7-3. But yes, this Wave team is dangerous. We welcome Willie the Wall Bonahenne, their goalkeeper, who is just an outstanding player and one of the most legendary players in indoor, 2nd highest scorer in the history of the MASL, IB26 himself, Ian Bennett. I love Ian Bennett. I will tell you this, from my point of view, I can't wait to see him, because the very first goal scorer, the very first goal call I ever had in my history of calling games that are indoor soccer,
IB26,
when he was a member of the Florida Tropics. I love IB26. He's obviously closer to the 4th floor in terms of his age, but I mean, he's still putting up goal after goal. He got 13 goals on the season. He's the 2nd leading scorer on the team with goals scored.
So now I'm even more nervous. Thanks a lot. But I want to take this last quick minute to just, how do we make playoffs? We're currently sitting in 7th place. There's 12 teams. The number of games played ranges from 17 games played for Chihuahua to 13 for those Texas Outlaws. How do we make playoffs, Philly? What are the criteria?
Look, we just we get points on the road. We win at home. I mean, that's it. Obviously,
metaphorically, theoretically, but how do you what are the playoff criteria? Who goes?
I mean, look, you got to finish top 8. That's it. Top 8.
There we go.
And honestly, St. Louis is a team that could really make a push. Tacoma could really make a push. So look, there's still plenty of season to be had, but hopefully they do get it. Hopefully that Texas Outlaws comes through in the way that it needs to. And then, of course, Milwaukee's going to be tough. They beat Milwaukee at home, no problem. And with that being said, that concludes our Empire Strykers segment. And it's a good thing we have you on, because you, the expert of all things Angel City, and oh my God, back from the internet, back from the death dial-up days of America Online, Tim Kolotz. Tim, did you finally upgrade your CompuServe AOL Instant Messenger dial-up DSL line to some high-speed internet there, buddy?
I did. I've upgraded to almost Earthlink now.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, you're fancy. All right, let's talk Angel City. This is the real reason why I'm here, as much as I love my Empire Strykers. So we got a couple fun tidbits coming out of Angel City this week. First, I want to go into She Believes Cup and all of the call-ups that have been happening, because 7 Angel City players are actually being called up through the international window, which is going to be February 17th through 26th. It's the FIFA window. So let's get into it. Emsley, we've already talked about a lot of these before. Emsley made it for Scotland, so she's going to be doing some UEFA Nations League matches. There you go. She's actually been with her national team since 2013, which is 12 years. I don't even know if I've been doing anything in my life for 12 years.
Going to bed early.
That might be it. That might be the thing I've done.
80-year-old in a 30-year-old's body.
Watching Rural Housewives, maybe?
Playing bridge and leaving clothes on her.
Oh my gosh, this did not need to become a Bash Nina, the old woman segment. I set you both up for that way too much.
Yeah.
All right. So kudos to Emsley, who is going to be joining them. She's also going to be in the She Believes Cup, where USA, Japan, and Colombia are playing. So very excited for her there. Mariah is joining, and I always butcher this one. I'm still getting there. Nadashika for the She Believes Cup. They're going to be going into 3 matches against Australia, Colombia, and the U.S. Super exciting. Reed is an interesting one for me. Megan Reed is going into Canada's 3 matches for the Pinatar Cup. And it's really interesting to me because she's from California. She has her Canadian, the ability to play for Canada because her mom was born in Ottawa.
Doesn't that remind you of another friend of ours who I think made a guest spot on this pod, Lauren Sesselman?
It does.
She-
It does remind me
She's
of a
from
Seth Mudge.
Wisconsin, played soccer at Purdue, yet represented Team Canada in the 2012 Olympics.
Yep. And with that, Reed actually just earned her first cap last December. So exciting to see her get some playing time again. Of course, the Thompson sisters, both named for the U.S. women's national team. They're on Coach Emma Hayes' 23-player roster for the She Believes Cup. But joining them will be Savvy King, who is going to be starting as a USA training player, meaning she's going to be unavailable for game selection, but she's going to be with them through the entire window and is going to be able to get some reps and get some views from Emma. So very cool to see that. Obviously, you know, we talked about Alyssa. She debuted for USA in 2022 and has 13 caps so far for the U.S. She appeared in the World Cup roster, and it's actually Giselle's second call-up for the senior team, her first one being back in June. So really cool to see so many of our girls getting those call-ups. Look for those games. CBS, She Believes Cup broadcast schedule is February 20th, 23rd, and 26th for the U.S. So tune into those games. It'll be exciting. Hopefully we can find some fun watch parties.
So She Believes will be on CBS?
No, I'm so used to Empire Strykers on CBS.
I'm just
You got
messing
it
with
like burned into my brain.
Hey, marketing works, clearly.
It really does. All right. Next, I want to talk kits. You know, you guys have had a lot of fun talking kits without me so far, but Angel City also has a new kit launching. So we're going to see that appearing for the first time Sunday, February 23rd. That's this Sunday. I expect it to be making the rounds on the interwebs between 1 and 3 p.m. That's what my spidey sense is telling me, at least, you know, specifically Sunday, February 23rd between 1 and 3 p.m.
Oop, I see the leaked kit.
Sunday.
You're not supposed to look for leaked kits. I don't like an element of surprise, but I'm really afraid I'm not going to like it.
Go to footyheadlines.com. They always leak kits.
Okay, I don't like the LAFC one.
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't like collars. Let's just put it that way. If I have to wear them to work, I don't want to wear them to the game. No, it's not a fan of collars.
I don't think I like this one either. It looks like pink fireballs or.
Yeah, so you had me at pink. This might be my favorite one. I mean, it's a matter of interpretation. I can't wait to hear exactly what they have to say about it. But I mean, look, it's not official yet. Whatever
according to the leak, it is inspired by the angelic wings on the club's crest. And it's a coral pink base, which is interesting to me because they were all about the Sol Rosa. How are we already changing our colors?
Well, we changed our ownership. So, I mean, colors seem to not be that big of a change.
Yeah, right. I mean, what's wrong with changing colors after you change who's in charge?
Wait, so better question is who is in charge?
If we're doing that, Nina would like to also request we change away from Nike. I am not a fan of Nike kits. They ride small, they're uncomfortable, and I would much prefer to see us going with someone else. I don't want to spend $140 on a kit that's not going to fit well.
Yes, hello, Mr. Phil Knight. How are you? Yeah, can you believe it? She doesn't want your kits anymore. I mean, I'm a big fan. I mean, you could continue to give me the Nike kits. Look, I'll make sure to keep her on board. Thank you, Mr. Knight. Thank you for the call. I loved Shoe Dog, the book, by the way. Phil Knight called. Had to take it.
Okay, makes sense. All right, last piece of Angel City news. Angel City is continuing to expand their front office. For those of you who missed it, Julie Ehrman is being kind of positioned for long-term success and elevated to the role of CEO under our new leadership. And with that, they have created a new position. Carmen Bona is now officially the club's first president of business operations. She's leading business functions, driving revenue growth, and operational excellence. So with that is the end of my Angel City news. They continue to expand on and off the pitch in the front office and with a new kit and all kinds of fun stuff.
Absolutely. And thank you for that, Nina. We'll have plenty more about Angel City to talk about. But Tim, I'd be remiss. I got to let you transition this. Why don't you introduce the next segment, my man?
Thanks, Billy, my man. And again, I said it at the top, as the Orange County homer of this podcast, of this show, of this live radio show on KMET Radio 1490 AM, let's go to Coach Danny Stone of your Orange County Soccer Club.
Our guest today is the head coach of Orange County Soccer Club. Originally from England, He went to high school in Arizona before playing professionally in his home country and then returning stateside to help others excel at the beautiful game. As one of the younger coaches in the USL Championship and having previously worked for the Colorado Rapids MLS, Oklahoma City Energy, and Phoenix Rising, he worked miracles last season after taking over the OC reins from friend of the pod, Paul Hardiman, leading a struggling team into the playoffs and in the process, a 9-game unbeaten run or a 10-game unbeaten run if we look at it from a regulation time perspective. It is such a joy to have with us today Orange County OCSC head coach Danny Stone. Coach, welcome to Soccer in 60.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. I know there's plenty of other things you could be doing as opposed to hanging out with these faces for radio, but we certainly appreciate your time. Now, Coach, looking at your resume, one question came into mind right away. You're from Liverpool, England. You came to the U.S. at 15 to go to high school in Tempe, Arizona, of all places. You then went back to England to play your youth soccer with Blackburn Rovers and professionally with the oldest professional football club in the world, Notts County and Southport. But it seems you came back to the U.S. pretty quickly after that. I got to ask, what brought you stateside as a teenager and what brought you back in your early 20s?
Yeah, well, listen, you've clearly done your research, so thank you for that. Yeah, of course. I've had quite a journey, I think, overall in terms of my life and places that I've been fortunate enough to live and spend time, and then obviously professionally with the game of soccer as well has taken me to many places. Look, this could be a very, very long answer, but I'll try and paraphrase as much as I can. Yeah, you rightly said I grew up and I'm from Liverpool in England. I moved over to the US for the first time at age 15. Went to high school, like you said, in Tempe in Arizona. And then about 18 months later, went back over to England, began playing full-time soccer, full-time football in England at Blackburn Rovers, like you said. Now, my playing career unfortunately got cut short from injury. Quite a common tale that many people have very similar stories to myself. And at that point, I decided to come back over to the US and begin a full-time coaching career. I wanted to stay involved in the game. It was something that perhaps wasn't a planned thing quite at the time, although I had been doing some of my initial coaching licenses while I was playing. And it was a side of things that I think I was, interested in, but certainly wasn't at the forefront of my thinking at the time when that occurred. But yeah, I came back over to the US in 2006. So I've been here now coaching full-time for 18 years. So quite a while. I certainly do, from a coaching perspective, I consider myself part of the United States coaching landscape because it's the country that I've lived and worked in for my entire coaching career. So I'm very proud to have played a small part in working with players in the United States, and obviously as you rightly said, I've moved to 4 or 5 different locations during my 18 years here and worked in different cities, different levels of the game, and really have worked since beginning in 2006 from every level of the game, from youth soccer and all the way through to national team programs, MLS programs, and of course for the last 6 years or so, I've been working full time in USL, which has been a great journey, something I've enjoyed, and I've been very fortunate to spend a lot of time around some very good coaches, some very good mentors that have helped me along the way. And for me, I consider myself still learning all the time, and still trying to become the best version of myself that I can, and like I say, at the same time give back to people that I work with, be that players, be that other members of coaching staff, technical staff, and do my part for soccer in general, but obviously very specifically now for Orange County Soccer Club to make us the most successful organization that I possibly can.
Yeah, thanks again for joining us today, Coach Stone. With that, player development is such a major part of the fabric of Orange County Soccer Club. The club has famously transferred Correde Osundina to Feyenoord in the Netherlands and Milan Alaski to Denmark. We had Bryce Jamison on the show last year, and when he was on, he was very open about wanting to play in Europe. How do you personally balance the need to develop players to win here and now, and do you ever feel a conflict with those priorities of the guys wanting to go to Europe while still trying to win for Orange County?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think, different clubs have different philosophies in terms of what their priorities are, what their goals are, and therefore how they work with and develop players. Not every club has aspirations and goals to be a club that moves players, maybe forwards in their career to different countries or to higher levels of the game. Some clubs, very fairly operate in a way that deals very much with the here and the now, and winning as quickly as possible and being as competitive as they possibly can be as their priority. Now, for us, Orange County, we of course share that philosophy in terms of wanting to win and wanting to be successful, and that's of course a very, very important part of what we do. So there's certainly, with nothing else that we might touch on here in the next few minutes, does that mean that we don't want to win and we don't want to be the most competitive club that we can be and be very, very successful on the field in terms of winning games of soccer? Now, at the same time, Orange County is a club who, as you rightly say, they do have a very good track record of developing young players and then providing opportunities for those young players to further and develop their career in different countries and at different levels, which I think is a fantastic thing. I think that does suit my background quite well. I've spent a lot of time working in youth development in my early coaching career, and then have had roles at various organizations where that has also been quite a major part of the philosophy of the club. That certainly was the case at the Colorado Rapids during my time there. Another organization that I think had a very solid, very consistent youth development model, and moved a lot of players into their first team in Colorado, but also onto other places as well. And I enjoyed being part of that program. And so this type of system that we have here in Orange County, where there is a focus on the development of young players and, providing opportunities to those young players, and then obviously, hopefully helping them develop their careers in terms of where they might play in the future, it is something that needs balancing as far as the organization goes. And at times, there has to be perhaps that has to be weighted a little differently at times. So there are certain moments during a year where it might be more appropriate for those young players to be provided perhaps more opportunities, although that always has to be earned as well. It's not given for free. Part of what we have to do with young players is develop them to be part of the professional game for the long term. And there's no getting around the fact that the professional game, requires players who can be at that high level, competitive, physical, technical, and tactical ability. And so, players have to earn what they get, and that's whether they are with us here in Orange County or earning an opportunity to move forwards. But as you say, it certainly is something that we're aware of as an organization, and we do our very best to work with those young players from an individual perspective. But again, I want to stress that is very much part of the collective program with the club as well. And those young players, however much we want for them individually, they have to show that they can be a great part of the collective for as long as they're at Orange County. And the reality is that also is what will earn them any opportunities that they might get moving forwards. For young players, clubs are interested in players who show that they can be a great member of a team. And so, that sort of goes hand in hand with the club philosophy in general. They need to be obviously excellent individual, but they also have to be an excellent teammate and a member of a successful team. And that's something that goes a long way in demonstrating who and what they can be moving forwards.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and I'm sure the fans and the players especially like to hear that as well. That you gotta earn it every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to say Orange County's 2024 season was a roller coaster might actually be a little bit of an understatement, right? After suffering a slew of injuries, which we all know about, and finally you landing on as the team's third head coach of the season, many people didn't expect you to be able to stabilize the squad after the 6-0 loss at Charleston, and to get it back into the playoff picture, courtesy of 5 wins and 3 draws in your final 8 regular season games. How would you describe the state of the team was when you took over, and what buttons did you push to get such an astonishing turnaround?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's no secret that the team had quite an up and down season. I think as far as the situation when I came into the club, obviously originally I joined the organisation as the assistant coach when I first came to Orange County, and my intention and my remit at the time was to assist Paul and to help the team become maybe a little bit more solid in terms of how they could perform on the field, and to assist with some of the coaching of the players, and again, obviously to help the team become more successful in terms of results. Quite quickly that turned into obviously a different role for me, and one that I was very, very grateful and to be given that opportunity. And it was something that I think from how and what we did, I would say the main thing that we focused our attentions on quickly was making sure that the dressing room and the players were together in terms of what we were going to aim to achieve. And I set out some very specific targets, with the amount of games that we had left in the season. We played one game against Las Vegas, and then we had a bye weekend the following week. And, we sort of framed those remaining games after that bye weekend as almost like a mini season. So whatever had happened before, good or bad, was in the past, and that was going to have no bearing moving forwards on what that sort of final 8 games or so looked like in terms of the playoff push. And I think, credit has to go massively to the players to say that they completely, not just bought into that, but committed to it, and came together and worked in a way that said, look, we're going to view this as a small end of season 8-game season, where the reality is we are in touching distance and we play teams around us in the table, and our fate is still in our hands, regardless of maybe how things have been viewed previously, and coming off a couple of tough results, like you said, in Charleston. It's not easy to bounce back from that mentally as much as anything. And so, like I say, the players deserve a huge amount of credit. What I felt they needed was a little bit of organization, a little bit of clarity, and a little bit of, positivity in terms of setting a goal that was still an achievable goal for us. And again, that was players, staff, everybody in the organization came together and said, right, we're gonna go after this, and we're gonna go for this. And that was really how we viewed it. And I would say that was the biggest factor, obviously, as well as any on the field tweaks and adjustments that we might have made. The primary adjustment was making sure that we had that focused mentality to say, look, this is in our hands, and it's up to us to go and change something. And collectively, we were able to do that.
Yeah, I just remember you guys coming out of that bye week, and it was a completely different team. So for them to get total buy-in and to make sure that it was just that 8-game mini season, like you say, was incredible to watch. One last question before we wrap up with you. What's perhaps the most notable about the Orange County offseason is that key players from last season's strong finish are back. Club icon Seth Kasipli, he retired, and defender Marcus Nakim has left for Iceland. But Orange County has added some really good, talented young players in Tristan Traeger, Liam McKinnon, as well as just recently announced veteran English center back Tom Brewitt. What's your sense of the current roster, and do you feel that it's ready for the season, or do you any other areas of need?
Yeah, I think the roster at the moment is it's a roster that has come together, and as always in an off season, players, especially when you look at international players, those can tend to sort of arrive in market at various times for different reasons. So I think where the squad is at the moment, we've had a very strong 5 weeks of pre-season training. We are still adding pieces to the squad. We're still recovering a couple of players who are, returning to train and play from injury. And every player who's been available, including players who have worked with us for the pre-season as training players, and some trialists that we of course have had in, which is normal. Everybody has worked extremely well. So, I'm very pleased with the work that the players have put in. I think the squad is building to a point where, yes, I've no doubt we'll be ready for the first game, which, feels like it approaches fast. Preseason is always one of those times where, you begin and you feel like, okay, we have 7 weeks or so. We've got some time, and before you know it, preseason flies by, and it's never as much time as you think. And it is always it's a work in process and progress always through preseason, where you're continuously layering in physical demand and you're layering in tactical principles. And we phrase it as progressive overload with the players in everything that we do. And so really at no point during preseason are players quite in a fully fresh state, be that physically or mentally, because we're pushing them hard and we're spending a lot of time with them, and obviously have to get them up to speed physically. And very rarely in preseason do they play games where they are feeling fresh like you hope they might do during the season. And that's obviously by design. And it's a time of year that is very easy to sort of, I think, take too much from at times. And the reality is, we have 2 or 3 more weeks here now just to get ready for the beginning of the season. And by the time we get there, I trust that we will have 2 or 3 more players in place, and we'll have a few more players, like I say, return from injury, who unfortunately have not been able to participate too much during preseason. But we know that those players will be back on the field soon and available for us for long stretches of the season ahead. So I'm very positive about it. I'm very confident about it. I'm extremely happy with how the group have worked over this previous 5 weeks, and I know sort of as we build towards the beginning of the season, those heightened sort of emotions and that little bit of excitement starts also to build. And before we know it, we'll be in that final few days, and we'll be getting ready for the opening game against Oakland. But everybody's very excited, very, very much looking forward to that. But in the meantime, we keep pushing hard, we keep working hard, and we have to make sure we put those final pieces of preparation in place for the players to be ready to go.
Good God, Coach. It's not just the players that are buying in. I'm buying in right here. I can't wait for USL to start. We believe in Danny Stone. Again, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. What you did at OCSC was nothing short of miraculous. So just hats off to you, Coach. Very exciting stuff, and looking forward to seeing you in Orange County soon enough.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on, and all the best to you guys, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Coach Stone.
Thank you.
Without a doubt, one of the most articulate people that we've had on this show. Made our jobs really easy. We didn't have to talk. We just listened to him. That was fun. Great job. I'm super excited about Danny Stone and this team.
Yeah, so am I. I'm stoked about it. I'm going to be there opening night. I can't wait for the season to start. And let's quickly move back to Nina, who has been doing yeoman's work today. And let's go to the Elite Six today. Nina, take it away.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we've had an Elite Six, but I'm excited to share this one with you. And as I go down the list, though, I do have a trivia tidbit for you both. So the last time we did Elite Six was in December, and 2 names are repeated from that December one till now. Don't go and Google it. Don't go looking back on the gram. I want you both to use your big old noggins and think long and hard about which 2 people would have also been recognized in December. All right, so let's go down the list right now. Starting in goal, we are recognizing Brian Orozco with the Empire Strykers. Brian had the golden goal scored as a keeper. He also only gave up 3 goals in 48 minutes. Then defender Aaron Long for LAFC with 1 goal and 94% pass accuracy. Robert Palmer, 1 assist and 3 goals given up through OT as a defender. Looking at the midfielders, Delgado, 2 chances created for the LAFC midfielder. Definitely needed a few more for LAFC, but we recognize him nonetheless. Andy Reyes for Empire Strykers, 1 goal and 1 assist. Then forward Denny Buonga, 1 assist, 85% pass accuracy, 1 chance created. And our producer's favorite stat, he took 3 corner kicks. Our super subs are Ryan Hollingshead and, of course, Leonardo, who is new, that was we mentioned, with the Empire Strykers. So I've stalled long enough, boys.
Espinosa did last December.
You think Espinosa, which there's 2.
I'm thinking of Roscoe and Palmer.
Nina, that was a joke. Espinosa, you just said he was new. So how the heck could he have been in December? Oh, my God, old woman. Oh, my God. All right. So
Okay. So Orozco and who did you say, Tim?
Palmer. Beto.
I'm going to say Marky Delgado because what Lord knows LAFC did not play in December, so scratch them off. No Denny, no Aaron Long. Delgado was a member of the Galaxy. Galaxy played in the MLS Cup. They beat the New Jersey Energy Drinks. That's my guess, Marky Delgado.
Well done, sir. That is absolutely correct. The last time we did this, Brian Orozco was in goal and Mark Delgado got the award for LA Galaxy. I thought I would stump you with that one, but well done. All right.
No,
now
I am
want
the
a real
Tyrion
debate.
Lannister of soccer. I drink and I know things.
Okay. Now, I had a fight with our producer over this one. I gave captain to Brian Orozco, but our producer thought maybe Denny Bouanga should have been in the conversation. So I'm going to let you both fight with me over this one.
Look, the amount of frequency. What's the word I'm looking for? Goalkeepers don't score goals. In particular, goalkeepers don't score game-winning goals. Denny is going to be on this list on numerous occasions. To me, I'm good with giving it to Brian Orozco. I'm not going to fight that. And speaking of which, our producer Gunnar has no reason to be fighting anybody because his beloved VfL Bochum just beat Borussia Dortmund over the weekend. So that should be good enough to help him ride at least until Memorial Day with joy.
Yeah, right. No kidding. And I'm good with the two, Nina, having Brian be the captain. I mean, when you score from a yard outside the yellow line, top shelf, where Uncle Charlie, Uncle Franz and Connor, I'm good with that. I'm really good with Brian Orozco being the captain.
So my logic was LAFC didn't win, which sucks, but Empire did.
Yeah. And hopefully they both continue to win. And that being the case, hopefully you all enjoyed this episode of Soccer in 60. It was a good one. Always fun doing it with Timmy K. Always fun doing it with Nina K. No relation. Make sure you follow, subscribe. We're on your Apple. We're on your Spotify. We are on YouTube at The Empire Strykers, Strykers with a Y. Tell your mom, your dad, your uncle, your sister, your third cousin twice removed that you haven't seen since the 6th grade. Soccer in 60. On behalf of myself, Nina Kiever and Tim Kolatz, our producer Gunnar and Christian. Love y'all. Have a good night.